及时收到影片发布及直播通知。一起来学习怎么操作吧。第一步，下载 YouTube 应用，点开 Play 商店。
YouTube app.
苹果手机
Go to
则是
Play
点开
Store.
App Store，
On Apple phone, you go to App Store.
搜寻 YouTube，
Search YouTube.
点击安装。
And install.
第二步，
And
注
second
册
step
YouTube 账号，
is to register an
进入
YouTube
YouTube 应
account.
用，
Go to YouTube app.
建立账户，
Now
建
register
立
an
个人
account.
账户，输入姓名、
Put in your name,
出生年月日、
your date of
性
birth,
别，
gender.
自行建立 Gmail 地址，
Continue. And then put your Gmail address
输
here.
入地址名称，
This is where you put the
输入
Gmail
并确
address.
认您的密码，
And then your
按一下
password.
继续，
Again, your password and
输
continue.
入电话号码，
Put your phone number here.
收到含有验证码的简讯后，
After you receive the
使
verification
用该验
code,
证码验证您的
use
手
that
机号码，
verification code
按一下
to
验证
verify.
账号注册成功。
Okay,
第
now
三
the
步，
account is
订阅金普
ready.
宗师频道。
Now the third step
进入
is to
YouTube
subscribe
应用，
Grandmaster JinBodhi's YouTube
在
channel.
搜
Go
寻
to
法术
YouTube,
金菩提宗师，
search Grandmaster
选取
JinBodhi,
正确的频道。
choose the right
进入频道
channel.
后可以看
Once
到
you
宗师
come
各种
here
精彩的
to
开示
Grandmaster
与
JinBodhi's
直播记
YouTube
录。
channel, you will see all the live feeds and wonderful
记
teachings
得在
of
频道
Grandmaster
按下订
JinBodhi.
阅，
Remember
小铃
to
铛，
click subscribe and
接受各种通
turn
知。
on all notifications.
第四步，快速看到喜
So
欢
the
开
fourth
示内
step
容。
is quickly see all
点击
the
影片，
teachings that
点击
you
大三角形符号，
that's your favorite. So click on that
滑动木马，
triangle and scroll down. You will see at different
点击时间点即
time
可。
specific time spots what was taught,
如果
what
喜
was
欢这些影
discussed.
片，
And so if you like these
请点赞
videos, please like,
留言、
comment,
分享给亲朋好
and
友，
share with your friends and families.
教会您身旁的亲朋好友，掀起
So
他
you
与
can
宗师
teach
的缘
them
分。
how to subscribe to
师
Grandmaster JinBodhi's
功德无
YouTube
量。
channel so that they can also establish a connection with Grandmaster JinBodhi that will bring you tons of benefits.
"亲爱的网友朋友，大家
My
好！
dear friends, hello everyone.
好，今天是我们孝亲吉祥
So
共修的
today
圆满日，
is the completion day
也是佛欢喜日。
Auspiciousness from Filial Piety
对
Group
在这个
Practice.
季节
Today
呢
is also
我们
Buddha's joyful
能够
day.
祭祀祖先，
At this time of the
祭
year,
祀
we have the
亲爱的
opportunity
亡
to
灵
honor
啊
our ancestors,
也同时呢， 我们因为我们
departed
相信
souls,
慈悲，相
because we
信
believe
佛
in
陀，
compassion, we believe
那我
in
们呢也
Buddha.
会为之前
We will
曾
also
经伤害过的这个所谓的冤亲债主，
help
就是有意
and chant
和
for
无意
those karmic
伤害过的
creditors,
生灵，
those lives that we
就
have
为他们
intentionally or unintentionally
点灯
hurt or
祈
harmed before.
福，
We
念
will
佛，
repent for
希
them.
望
We
得
will
到
like
佛菩萨
offer
的
light
护
for
佑
them
与
and
接引。
chant for them. We hope
我在
that
这几
they
天
will
的
be
这个修
guided
行
and received
过程
by
当中
Buddhas
啊，
and Bodhisattvas.
哎，
in
我
these
尤
days
其是
of
在每天早上
cultivation
在修的
practice,
时候，
especially in every
就是
morning's
非
practice,
常确定的感受到
I can
这
very
个
clearly
佛陀
feel
慈悲强大的能量。
the enormous energy of
对，
Buddha's
在
compassion.
礼拜佛陀的时候，
And when I prostrate to
那
Buddha,
股
I
无
can
法比喻
deeply
的
feel
强大的能量
that
就是
wonderful
有
energy,
缘的众生
the compassionate energy from Buddha
这个佛欢喜日的这个修行过程之中
during these days of Buddha's joyful days of group practice. When I have this opportunity to lead
直接
all of you who have karmic
向佛陀
bond,
升
you
腾
know,
起
and those lives and
就离
souls,
开
when I can lead them to be
痛苦
elevated and liberated from the lower realms and be uplifted to the heavenly realms. That was what I saw, and I feel
这
very
次来
happy
供灯忏悔
and
念佛以及
joyful.
有这个
I
对这个祖先亲人
Those of you who have made offerings for your ancestors, your parents of your past lives, and your karmic creditors, I feel so happy and for you, because your loved ones, your ancestors and karmic creditors, they have the opportunity to be free and liberated from the darkness, from, you know, the bad realms, and from the wandering state of bardo, and they can be received in either the eastern lapis lazuli world or the western Pure Land. So they will be liberated. For us who are living, because of they are liberated, we can have a happy life, a safe life, and healthy and long life. Especially our ancestors, our parents from past lives who gave us lives. Only when they are living in a good state, we can obtain auspiciousness. So on this Buddha's joyful day, it is the day that Buddha has the greatest joy, because they have given the soul salvation to so many wandering souls. And our parents are our Buddhas. Our parents' parents and their parents, their ancestors, and our ancestors. So they are happy, and because they are our Buddhas, because they are liberated, of course they are happy, and so that's why we also say that is Buddha's joyful day. So first of all, so Buddha's joyful day has like two meanings. One is Buddha is happy because saved so many lives, so many souls, and also because our parents are our Buddhas, and because they are liberated, so they're happy, so they are happy. So those lives who has already ended the life as a human being. But let me tell you, this is like a cycle of life and death. Those lives have already been liberated. This is just the natural law in the universe, from life to death to rebirth. And so it's back and forth and going on and on. So if we can do well now, then we can create a beautiful future. So from now on, when we already understand what we're supposed to do, what is right and what is wrong, and we know that we need to respect our parents and our seniors and our ancestors. So this kind cycle has already transcended from the 6 realms. It's already, going to the upper realm. So once it's already transcended from the human realm, then the life is stronger. You see, how many hours, the moon will run around the sun, how many around the earth, and how many hours will the earth run around the sun. I think so in that world, maybe if they live like 600 days, then maybe we have like 100,000 years or something. And what if they live like 100,000 years there? Maybe here it would be like millions of years. So it would be hard to calculate. So that is what I have sensed. And I hope all of you who have made offerings to help your ancestors and your karmic creditors, I hope all your wishes will be granted. And these days, we also received a lot of messages from many different centers and many of our online friends that can also show how happy they are, and they're happy about the liberation. Okay, Joyce is sharing. Li Shuzi from Korean Center. During the time when we're chanting for the Ullambana Festival, she made light offerings at the center, and she also followed Grandmaster JinBodhi to chant for her departed parents and ancestors. One day, when she was very sincerely chanting, right in front of her, on the big screen in the center, there was an incredible picture. On the screen, it was Grandmaster was leading the chanting, but she also saw that her ancestors from her mother's side and from her, her mother-in-law's side, they are also like floating on the screen. On the left side is the mother-in-law and her family. On the right side is her mother and her family. And her mother-in-law is smiling, and she's talking and she's talking in her dialect, like, my Zhangzi, that's her nickname, and she's now get the prize for filial piety. Well, that's he. And so he was very proud of him. And so he was rubbing her eyes, and then he saw, that the picture was still there. So Xiao Shangzi is actually her husband's name. And so she still can see that they are here. And their image is still there. She can just see it so clearly. Immediately she realized Grandmaster JinBodhi's compassion. And of course it means that her parents and ancestors, they have already been, liberated. It was when she was chanting at the center and she saw their images there. She rubbed her eyes and she saw, maybe she, it was just an illusion or whatever, but they were still there. And her mother-in-law was even talking to her, like in a dialect. And Grandmaster said, well, if she see that, that must be true. And the sister also said she lived with her husband for so many years, but she never knew that her husband got a prize. And so when she went back home, she asked her husband, did you get a prize for filial piety? And her husband said, oh yeah, of course. It was when I graduated from high school, I got that prize for filial piety, And only my mother knows that. And so this sister said, oh, before only your mom knows, now I know that too. And so they were recalling all the, the love from her mother and parents, and they were so grateful for Grandmaster JinBodhi. And well, Grandmaster said, we're so happy. Wow, congratulations. Well, Buddha's joyful day. So Grandmaster Xiangqiao, brother Xiangqiao, also has a sharing about lighting a candle. And he lit candles and chanted for her karmic creditors and ancestors so that he will have better temper and also have better business. The last 6 years, he said he would always go to the chanting class during the Ullambana Festival. This year, because of the pandemic, he came to the online classes and group practice. The first day in the Filial Piety offering to Buddha class, he couldn't go to the online class, and so he saw the video. And then when he was chanting Ersto Bodhisattva's heart mantra, he saw his ex-wife and his father and mother-in-law. All three of them were smiling and as if they were telling him that they're all good. And last year, he chanted for all of them, and last year her mother-in-law was still dark, but this year, he also light 49 days candle for them. And he also recorded that during his childhood, because of ignorance, he killed many insects and some small fishes that he kept before in his childhood. And now, because of Grandmaster's teaching, he also light candles for these little, lives. And now, after all of these, he doesn't have bad tempers that often, and he can live more harmoniously with the family. And from March, he had a goal that he would chant 1 hour every day. And he found that his business gets so much better than before. And even he has to spend 1 more hour in chanting. And some of the goods that was hard to sell now are also sold out. So, you see, with Buddhas and Bodhisattvas' blessings, because he light candles, his ex-wife and his parents and mother-in-law, father-in-law, now they are smiling and happy. Before they were dark, and now they're happy. And also business is getting better. And this is a sharing from Fuxue from New York Center. And she really believes in Grandmaster JinBodhi's compassionate blessings. So every year, she will make light offerings to her parents and her sister-in-law, brother-in-law. And so when she had a dream, her sister-in-law came to hug him. But she knows that he already passed away, so she didn't want to touch him. And there was a long way going, like leading to heaven. And her brother-in-law was like smiling brightly and walking to the road to heaven. And after she woke up from the dream, she cried. But that was the joyful tears, because she knows that her brother-in-law has been liberated. Oh, congratulations. And also, there was an English student who wants to share from Vancouver Center. That's Leslie's sharing. So so this is what she said. She said, actually, that was when I was pretty new at the Bodhi Meditation Center, and I offered a plaque to my deceased uncle. And so I was fairly new to Bodhi meditation when I offered a plaque to my deceased uncle. I had been meditating and asked if any of my deceased relatives needed help because they were stuck in hell, and his name came up during my meditation. A few days later, I had a wonderful feeling of peace and had a dream where I heard him say thank you to me. So this is shared by Leslie from Vancouver Center. So after offering that plaque, she had a very wonderful feeling of peace and had a dream where she heard her uncle say thank you to her. So her uncle was hoping that she would help her. So Grandmaster said, this is very important. And Grandmaster said, oh, I'd like to say a few words. I don't know about, I don't know whether, Europeans or other English-speaking people, do they believe in hell or, these 6 realms? But when we dream of our departed relatives, if we see them are very cold or very hungry or need help, or they're like wearing in rugs or something, or they're beaten by someone, or even worse, maybe they're like bleeding, or if they like suddenly had an accident, or some people were killed, or maybe there's no head, or maybe there was a big hole on the body. This exists in the world. Well, it's normal for the people who deal with these, but regularly we don't see these images. So we don't know how a human being will leave this world, in what kind of situation or what state. If in a dream we see a departed relative, including even classmates or friends or neighbors, if they appear in the dream, if it is not a pleasant image, then it usually means that they are coming to ask help from you. And so these years, our Bodhi disciples and fellow practitioners, sometimes they dream of someone who does not have a very close relationship with them. And so you need to understand that they would like to ask for help from us, through us, to ask help from Medicine Buddha and to receive their help and blessings. So before this live class, I was meditating. I saw an image. It was a Western image, and he was very, in such a pain and asked for help. And I was very, anxious to help. And then I came out of the meditation. So, the souls, whether they're Western or Eastern, it doesn't matter. In a human world, we have, we separate people in different countries because of different reasons. In the human world, you have a family tree, and so maybe the ancestor and then to your grandparents, maybe millions of years ago, it was like only 1 or 2 people, and then now it's already 100,000 people. So this is a big family tree. And then because of, some kings or emperors, they fight, and then they have different areas, different tribes, and different countries. Maybe one tribe, they have 20,000 people. And when there was no countries, a tribe is functioning like a country. And so the leader of the tribe, they're like the kings. And after the countries are established, a tribe cannot win in the battle or a fight or a war with the country. And so usually they eventually evolve into countries. But in the soul world, there's no difference in different countries, whether you're a Chinese or a Korean or American or European. In the soul world, the languages, they're all having the common language. It's not like human beings speak different languages. In that world, whatever you say, they use the same language. So in the soul world, you don't need to learn a foreign language. That was a good thing, because they don't use the human language to communicate. So they can always communicate with their it's like a spiritual language, and so they don't need to, there's no difference in different languages. And so if your relatives already passed away and they're showing your dreams in an unpleasant image, and usually they're asking for help. So, Chinese people, it's not a religious idea. It's from many experiences of the Chinese or other people. After they had some studies of the cultures, in the whole world, actually, in many areas, they use the same way when they're honoring ancestors. They usually will offer some good food, very delicious food. I know that they're offering sometimes boiled egg, and sometimes Chinese people will offer wine or some alcohol because, they say, my father likes wine, or my grandfather likes, those red meat or whatever. And sometimes they offer cigars, there's a very wealthy person. They used to be very wealthy, and so after he passed away, they buried a real Benz into the tomb. But Chinese people, what they do? They would use paper to make like a paper car. And those papier-mâché, let me share with you. In Taiwan, those the gangsters, the leaders of the gangsters, after they die, they find very, the guns. They made some paper guns, and so they burn them. And so it's like, okay, they burn them so that they went there, and they also put some knives there and some rifles and some and they they made them with paper, but then they paint it and it looked like real. And so when they burn it, they mean that, okay, after they go to the other world, then they can still have these guns and knives. So over there, he can still be the leader. So it's usually when they have these, they can settle there. And the universe will, according to his karma, cause and consequence. Maybe you can, the universe will decide whether you need to go to the animal realm or somewhere, and you can say, well, whether you want to be a pig or maybe a chicken. And for a chicken, you would live very short, maybe only 15 days, you will be killed and reincarnate again. And or maybe you become a cow or a bull, and so it's not easy. So those who cultivate pretty well and they have good causes, then they will be reincarnated to be a human being, and even reincarnated into a wealthy family. So one student wrote to me and said he dreamed that his mother, before she died, it was not very pleasant, and there were like ants all over her body and a lot of other worms. And so all these years, he didn't know whether it was because he he actually saw that, or he always dreamed of his mother that having these, terrible worms. But these years, he dreamed of his mother like wearing very luxurious silk clothes. And it's like in a movie. And she's now floating to the western sky. So this is definitely that Buddhas and Bodhisattvas guiding her to the Western Pure Land. So he lit some candles, very big, the biggest ones for her mother, and it was very, very effective. It's not that human beings can help her mother, his mother. It's Buddhas and Bodhisattvas helping his mother. Any other sharings? Joy said yes. Xing Weihua from Malaysia Center. So it's a very sad story. His son, January 2019, his son suddenly died. In July, and nobody knows why. And one day, his daughter saw his eldest son and saw that his eldest son was in a very dark place and very terrifying. So everybody in his family thought that it was not a good thing, but they didn't know what to do. And later, they know from a volunteer in the center that offering candles and lights can be sometimes have miracles, and so they lit candles. And after a few days after they offered the lights, they saw his daughter dreamed of his eldest son again. And now this time, his eldest son is in a very bright place, very bright. And he's even telling her daughter that, oh, don't worry, don't miss him. He has already been to a very good place. And then asked his sister to look after me. And so they felt like it's miraculous, and they feel so happy and comfortable. And so Grandmaster said, congratulations, your son have already been liberated, and he will be reincarnated to a merchant's family. It's not the extremely wealthy, but that's a very, very good family and very kind family and very auspicious family. So congratulations. And so Christine said, I saw on this live comment, the live chat, I saw that there's a sharing, he or she. It's also, let's say her grandfather passed away, and Yalu felt very sad. And so once she had a dream of her grandfather, but her grandfather was not very, not very pleasant and even bleeding. And in a dream, her mother tells her grandmother to do something for her grandfather. I think it's like maybe make some new clothes. And so she offered light for her grandfather for soul salvation. And after a few days of offering the light, she saw that her grandfather is holding the hands of a little boy, and they're going to pass a border. And it looks like everybody is lining up, but her grandfather has like a jewel, a big jewel with him, but the little boy doesn't have. And so his grandfather was said, do you have another one that I can give it to this little boy? And so in the dream, her mother gave the jewel to the little boy. And so with the jewel, both of them passed very smoothly and successfully. And so the whole dream was like very successful, very auspicious. And she felt like a big relief, and felt like her grandfather is going to a good place. And so, Joyce, you have another sharing? Okay, great. Zheng Guoan from Malaysia, Furong Center, and he said in 2017 in July his mother passed away, and he offered the 49 days soul salvation light, and the first 7 days after her mother passed away, they were waiting to sort of chant for the mother, and suddenly they smell a very familiar smell of a medicine, and they were thinking, oh, maybe mother came back, because this smell is the medicine that her mother used to use a lot before she passed away. And on the 42 day after mother passed away, and she saw mother again, and she was very wearing very good clothes and very happy, and her mother also wanted to come with us to the Ullambana Festival that will held next week, and that Ullambana Festival would be the 49th day of his mother's the 49th day of the light that she offered. And so she felt very happy. She knows that her mother is in another world and must have a very good life. And more miraculous is that on the 49th day, it was like having a little rain, and they suddenly hear some water spraying. They feel and they can smell jasmine flower. It's Guanyin Bodhisattva spraying nectars, and they just felt like, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas come with mom to come, and so they now can feel good after his mother passed away, because her mother go to a good place. And so Grandmaster said, yes, this is a very good dream. Buddhas and Bodhisattvas now come to receive your mother and go to a good place. So now you can be rest assured and feel happy now. And another sharing is about a departed mother, and he made offerings to cultivators. And he said for a long time his mother always feel that there's something like pushing or pressing on the back. And then he went to ask a media. And his mother also felt that this must be from the karmic creditors. His mother tried different ways, but it's not effective. And at Ullambana Festival, after they heard the story of Madhyayana, they learned from this story, and so they wanted to do the same. So they made those wrapped sticky buns with leaves and offered to all the fellow practitioners at the center who come to the Ullambana Festival. So they sent out more than 300 what they call 粽子, those sticky rice buns. And right after the Ullambana Festival, they went back home with her. He went back home with his sister, and his mother phoned them and said, "Oh, today I feel that the pressure on the back completely disappeared." And so they couldn't understand. And then they went to ask that media again. This friend didn't know Bodhi Meditation, but he told mother, said, "Oh, the karmic creditor who are attached to you now already went away with Grandmaster JinBodhi. They're not coming back to find you anymore." And so these experience made herself understand that making offerings to cultivators is like infinite merits, and so she determined in the future she will always make offerings and meal offerings and other offerings to cultivators. Well, there are online friends asking me. Actually, years ago, there already a question like this. Now I suddenly recall this question, so I'm going to answer this. So after someone is deceased, she asked whether the Bodhi uniform, can the deceased, relatives wear these uniforms? I would say, I think it's auspicious. Welcome to wear them. So all our Bodhi fellow practitioners and any online friends who practice Bodhi meditation, everybody is cultivating compassion. At least you are trying to use a compassionate heart to treat everyone and the whole world. So if one day someone got sick or pass away, or if you're alive and if you go to an important exam, like an entrance exam, or you go to another important event or an occasion, then you can wear it because you think it's a blessing. I hope, it's my little wish, anyone who is sick, after you wear our Bodhi meditation uniform, I hope you will get well very, very soon. After you wear our Bodhi uniforms, whatever you do will be successful and smooth. But even if it is very auspicious, if someone are supposed to leave the human world, leave the world is just a natural law. And if you wear our Bodhi uniforms, then Buddhas and Bodhisattvas will receive you to Eastern or Western Pure Land, and those evil spirits or ghosts, they will not hurt you. And so you're welcome to wear Bodhi uniforms if you're, for anyone who is passing away. I am the founder of Bodhi meditation. Even though I don't look very nice, but actually my heart is very nice and kind, compassionate. And so every day, everything that we do, everything that we think are compassionate. And so all of our Dharma gifts, including these, uniforms and all the other Dharma gifts, they're all auspicious and are carrying the blessings from Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And so there's another sharing from Hong Kong. She said her elder uncle, was single and doesn't have a close relationship with them. And so after he passed away, he only made a 7-day light, just like a little small offering. Now she knows that it's wrong, and she felt regretted. And after that, she never dreamed of him. In February 2018, she dreamed of her uncle again, and so she lit a candle for him again to help release his soul. And then in May 2018, she's going to Toronto to go to the master-led Biguan class, and he dreamed of his uncle again. His uncle doesn't look very well, very dark and thin, and the clothes is not very nice, and he's grabbing her, doesn't allow her to go. And so she said, "Oh, I'll go check on the computer and tell you." And so he let her go. And so she actually went to check a title. If your departed relative come to find you, you must do something. And so I suddenly recalled that she said, she recalled her uncle came to see her, and every time before master-led classes, she will dream of her uncle. Now she understands that, oh, it's actually her uncle is asking for help because she can lit a candle or make a light offering on that very auspicious class because that's a master-led class and she can offer light. So this time she offered a 49-day candle and now she doesn't dream of uncle again. She believes that he has already been liberated. And so she believes that every time her uncle comes to find her, because she can light candles, and so that can be helped by Grandmaster and helped by Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And so Grandmaster said, now that we have read this story, this sharing, your uncle's soul will be like a light, and Buddhas and Bodhisattvas will just receive that light and bring him to the nice realm. And so this is another sharing. A few years ago, he said a few years ago his grandfather died, and he would occasionally dream of him, and he's in a very dark place, very wet and very cold, and don't have money, and ask us to burn more money to him. But her mother said, oh, they actually burn lots of paper money to him. How come he didn't receive? And once they see that grandfather is lying in the coffin and very dry and like a mummy, and later they met Grandmaster, and last year she saw. Oh, they actually offered light under her grandfather's name, and so last year in Qingming Festival, she dreamed that grandfather is smiling and going to a very bright place. This year, she also dreamed that grandfather is waiting for dinner, and so, anyways, her grandfather is not very cold anymore, not cold, not wet, and not dark anymore. Now it's in a bright place. So anyways, I have a question. Before, her mother also burned those jot money or paper money. How come he cannot receive those money? But after she made the light offering, then her grandfather all of a sudden now is smiling and in the light and have a better life. Why is that? Well, Grandmaster said, well, that's very simple. Say, for example, today, if your friend is in jail and right now is in jail, if you send something to him, can he receive? A lot of times, well, normally he probably cannot receive it. If you want to make a phone call to him, usually you cannot get through because that's in jail. In jail, then you don't have that much freedom. As a normal human being, if you have a cell phone, then you can make phone calls freely. But in jail, it's not convenient. There are lots of restrictions. And so this lady's grandfather, maybe he's not in a very free, like a place with freedom. Maybe it's in a very restricted area, and so maybe and a lot of times this is because of lack of merits, and so that's her grandfather, right? And when she made light offerings with her grandfather's name, and that's making offerings to Buddha. So her grandfather will have some merits. And she dreamed that her grandfather is waiting for some food. So he still needs some food, even though she has already made light offerings. Now her grandfather is already in a brighter place. It's already like maybe out of the gel. It's not in gel anymore. It's brighter. He might have more freedom, but still he doesn't have food to eat. He's still waiting for dinner. He's still waiting for food. So I'd like to remind you, you might need to make more food offerings or such kind of offerings. So when you are burning jot paper, you'd better put the receiver's name. You don't need to write address because you don't know the address. We don't need a postman, and you just write his name and your intention. And say, for example, this is for your grandfather. You need to write grandfather and then his name. So for him. Or if it is for your grandfather and your grandmother, then you write down both of their names. And sometimes you remember your grandfather's name, you don't remember your grandmother's name, but that's okay. You write down your you can write down your grandfather's name, and then you say, grandfather, this is for grandfather and grandmother. And sometimes you burn paper for different people. I hope that those people will not fight because of the money. So you can write very clearly, this money is for this person, these clothes are for that person. And so when you are burning, you can take turns, like when you're burning these, you can say these are for him. And when you're burning the other part, those are for her. And also be careful of fire safety, and to make sure that there won't, make sure it will be safe. Actually, when I burn those papers, I can see sometimes, usually you burn at night. It's easier for them to receive. And sometimes in the flame, you might see their image, and you need to be more observative, but also be be careful your hair, especially ladies. Sometimes you're burning papers and you're wearing a very long skirt, and sometimes there are also sashes, and if you have long hair, so if you're burning those paper money and other things, you need to put your hair tight. And when you are burning paper for your grandfather, if you burn your hair or burn your eyebrows, it's not good. And also when you are burning the papers, you need to burn thoroughly. If you see that there are some paper hasn't been burned completely, it's not good enough. So you need to burn completely. Oh, Christine, you have another? Oh, it's a question. Well, it's a question or an observation. Well, these days, some of our online friends send messages to us, and they already offered some candles, and they want to see if there are some feedbacks from their ancestors, because the last teaching, last live feed, you said if the bottle is dark, and then they said, oh, please, so some of our online friends said, please tell me if the bottles are dark or something, so we need to do something else. So we have some brothers and sisters that go around to look at the candles. Well, actually, until today, we see some of the candles are very, very bright. And among all the candles, you see, look at this candle on the screen. This one, it shows like exceptionally bright. So what does it mean? What signal is it sending when it's exceptionally bright? Well, it's just like the flame. It's very strong, very prosperous. So the whole family will be prosperous. So this family means because the merits from the ancestors, and then the descendants, they will have a very good family with many people, and their study and their work will all be smooth and successful. So when we are offering the candles, whether the candle is lit very bright and clear, it's very important. We need to be very grateful for the ancestors' blessings too. So when we are offering, if we're offering incense, if the 3 incense were burnt, but after you put them into the incense burner, one of them were cut off, or maybe one of them were cut off halfway, it's not good. And so you need to repent and do more merits. I'm not forcing you or entice you to do any merits, but I'm just telling you, if it shows the sign, only the merits can help you to remove those calamities or obstacles. And sometimes the incense might break halfway, and it could be an accident or something, or maybe a candle suddenly distinguished. These are giving you a message or a signal that you need to do better or do more. If the candle is not very bright, the flame is not very bright, I hope our chanting and cultivation practice can bring more Buddha light to make your candle light even brighter. Usually, if the light is not bright enough, it usually means merits are not enough. I usually will not notify you. We hope that we can use our merits to supplement, to help it to grow better. So if the bottle is dark, then you need to do more good deeds. Don't get married, don't invest, and so those big decisions don't make. I'll tell you one story. One year, we are having a retreat. Hundreds of us were very sincere, and the whole retreat was very, very good. Before they came, they were in their, in their life, they were fighting in their life, they were struggling. A lot of them were sick and exhausted, and so just look at their face. They were very weak, and after a few days of practice, their face starting to glow. And at that time, we were about to establish, build a new Bodhi Meditation Center, and everybody is trying to make some contributions. And there was an employer. He was actually a very successful business person, and this businessman, he said, he wants to make some contributions. And then his son is pulling his sleeve. I saw that his son was talking to him. I just guess, I don't hear what he says. I just guess that maybe the son is saying, this is just, nonsense. Don't believe in this. I don't want to force anybody to do any, make any merits. It's up to you, and it's up to your understanding. Because of the son pulling the sleeve, and this father and son also live in the same hotel. Maybe before, the father was supposed to donate $100,000 because the new meditation center needs some money. It actually It doesn't matter because the meditation center is in our heart. It's not an opportunity for Buddha. It's an opportunity for you. You always feel like we are cheating you. Buddha wants money to have a center. It's actually wrong. And so his son is stopping the father from making contributions. And after a year, his father's company, I don't know for what reason, this company was taken over by another company. And his father, he wants to do $100,000, but he only donated $1,000. But this $1,000 didn't donate in vain. Say, for example, his family has maybe $1 billion of assets. Now, after 10 years, he still has like $100 million because the people who want to take over. So that $1,000 helped him to keep $100 billion. So he actually has $1 billion, but he only, like, even if he donates $100,000, it's only a very small portion of his assets. It doesn't affect him at all. Oh, he actually has, $1 billion. It doesn't, it's not a big issue when he has $1 billion. And donating 100,000 is just a piece of cake. And his son, it's really his bad karma all of a sudden appear right away at this. He's like becoming so narrow-minded. All of a sudden, at this time, well, having $1 billion and donating $100,000 to keep that $1 billion, it's such a good deal. But all of a sudden, this bad karma manifested and appeared and matured, and then so. That father also has some problem. You are the father. You're the adult. If you think this is right, then you should do it. You should not just listen to an immature son, and because he hasn't had that much experience. And even he is your father. If he hasn't had a lot of experience or that much wisdom, then you should not listen to him. A lot of people, but usually people would think, the more I take, the better. And they always think, the less I give, the better. But that is wrong. Buddha said, money is like water. The water is flowing. If you don't want the water to flow, it will evaporate. And it can even turn bad. Can water turn bad? Of course. Yeah. Even if, if the drinking water doesn't move, it will smell bad. And even shampoo can go bad. Well, I suddenly think of something that has nothing to do with, a few days ago, I'm very, I never waste anything. So like 2 years ago, I used that shampoo, and I found that shampoo again. So I used it, but then I found it's very itchy, and so I thought, oh, why is that so itchy? So after a few days, I don't use that shampoo anymore. Then it's not itchy. So I tried to use that shampoo again, itchy again. So after I tried a few times, I found, oh, so shampoo, if that was sitting there for quite a long time, then it will go bad. Even if it's herbal, then it will still go bad. You see, anything, water or vegetables, if it's sitting there for a long time, it will still get rotten, right? So you, as a human being, you're born by from your parents give you life, but if you do not look after your body, you will go bad too. So, shampoos and those kind of things, they also can turn bad. And so shampoos or bathing gels, if they have been sitting there for a long time, it can go bad. And a lot of times they are chemicals, and they're just adding some water, and they're not like those industrial chemicals like acids, but they are very mild chemicals. And those shampoos or facial creams, and those for facial cream, fine chemical engineering. And so if anyways, those facial creams or shampoos or bathing gels, if they have been there for too long, it can be bad too. And so if you know that, so let's come back to the story. That father, he listened to the son. So if you want to listen to someone, listen to a wise person. And it's up to your karmic bond. So Christine says, we actually have maybe quite some opportunities to make money, but opportunities to accumulate merits are very precious and very rare. So if we do have an opportunity to accumulate some merits, we need to really catch the opportunity and cherish it. So once again, I like to say, Grandmaster said, giving is receiving. The more we give, the more we receive. It doesn't mean that the money, if we keep them, they will be better. Sometimes, if you keep it too long, it can turn bad too. But today I'm not going to elaborate on this. So anyways, I'd like all of you to accumulate more merits, respect your seniors, your parents, and honoring your ancestors so that we can live a better life and a happier life. So now I'd like to chant with you together, and also I will offer incense to Buddha. So now let's start chanting.
哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶稣哈，哦哈哈 么耶娑哈？哦，哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈？哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈？哦，哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈？为什么耶娑哈？哦，哈哈，为什么耶娑哈？哈哈，为什么耶娑哈？哦，哈哈，为什么耶娑哈？为什么耶娑哈？哦，哈哈，为什么耶娑哈？哈哈，为什么耶娑哈？哦，哈哈，为什么耶娑哈？为什么耶娑哈？哦，哈哈，为什么耶娑哈？哈哈，为什么耶娑哈？哦，哈哈，为什么耶娑哈？为什么耶娑哈？哦，哈哈，为什么耶娑哈？哈，为什么耶娑哈？哦，哈，为什么耶娑哈？为什么耶娑哈？哦，哈，为什么耶娑哈？为什么耶娑哈？哦，哈，为什么耶娑哈？为什么耶娑哈？哦，哈，为什么耶娑哈？为什么耶娑哈？哦，哈，为什么耶娑哈？为什么耶娑哈？哦，哈，为什么耶娑哈？为什么耶娑哈？哦，哈，为什么耶娑哈？为什么耶娑哈？哦，哈，为什么耶娑哈？为什么耶娑哈？哦，哈，为什么耶娑哈？为什么耶娑哈？哦，哈，为什么耶娑哈？ 耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵哈哈哈，为什么耶娑哈，唵 为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣为什么耶稣 梭哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶梭哈，啊哈哈哈，为什么耶梭哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶梭哈，啊哈哈哈，为什么耶梭哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶梭哈，啊哈哈哈，为什么耶梭哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶梭哈，啊哈哈哈，为什么耶梭哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶梭哈，啊哈哈哈，为什么耶梭哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶梭哈，啊哈哈哈，为什么耶梭哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶梭哈，啊哈哈哈，为什么耶梭哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶梭哈，啊哈哈哈，为什么耶梭哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶梭哈，啊哈哈哈，为什么耶梭哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶梭哈，啊哈哈哈，为什么耶梭哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶梭哈，啊哈哈哈，为什么耶梭哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶梭哈，啊哈哈哈，为什么耶梭哈，哦哈哈哈，为什么耶梭哈。
好，各位网友朋友，
All right, my
今天
friends.
我们心中所想、
So
所
today,
愿望的都
all
得到了。
that we think,
大
that we
慈大悲
wish,
的佛陀
are all
与菩萨
blessed
与诸位
by
天
most
神
compassionate
都在帮助我们，
Buddhas, Bodhisattvas,
对我们的
all
祖
heavenly
先，
beings,
对我们的亲人，对我们的
for
冤
our
亲债主，
ancestors, our
都
loved
让他们
ones,
得到了光
and
明
our
和
karmic
解脱，
creditors. They will all
永享
receive
吉
soul
祥
salvation. They will
与天寿。
always be in auspiciousness and have the longest life as
愿
long
一
as the
切
universe.
有缘的众生
I wish
都能
all
得到
sentient beings
平安、
who have karmic
吉祥、
bond with us will receive
富贵、
auspiciousness,
长寿。
happy, prosperity, and longevity.
今天的佛欢喜就到这里，吉祥圆满了。
So that's all for today's live feed on
我
Buddha's
们下
Joyful
次
Day.
直播的
Next
时间
time, our live
是
feed
接下
will
来
be
的周六，
the coming
温哥华的周六。
Saturday,
同一个时
Vancouver
间。
time, Saturday, the same time, 6
到
p.m.
时我们再见。
So
谢谢
I'll
大家。
see you then. Thank you very much.
小小的红点里，人生就此欢喜。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇。小小的红点里，人生变得神奇。我智慧了，我宽容了，我慈悲了，我自在了。因为有了你，生命变得更坚定，不忧忧无虑。因为有了你，日子不再有哭泣，不再有恐惧。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。小小的红点里，人生就此欢喜。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇。小小的红点里，人生变得神奇。我智慧了，我宽容了，我慈悲了，我自在了。因为有了你，生命变得更坚定，不忧忧无虑。因为有了你，日子不 再有苦